Zona.
So we've been hearing a lot about Florence Cassez, your namesake's release from a jail in Mexico. How is the Mexican press reacting?
Well, we're going to take a look at an article in a newspaper called Excelsior, and it says that Cassez is free, but is she guilty? And it says that politically it was a very good move for Mexico to release her and send her back to France, but legally it's very questionable, unless you believe that Florence Cassez is 100% innocent and that all the authorities, victims, and police, all of them plotted together to keep her in jail. Now, according to Excelsior, what would be fair, would be to completely start over again, to get rid of all the evidence that was tampered with, and that would be the just thing to do. Mistakes were made, but some of the evidence does seem quite incriminating. And it says that starting over would actually, the problem is it would be relaunching a diplomatic row with France, and who wants that? But Excelsior says she's not going to face a trial, so we'll never find out whether or not she's guilty.
They could well be right. But meanwhile, over in Britain, David Cameron made an announcement that he wants to hold a referendum on the UK's membership of the EU by 2017, and that is, of course, getting lots of attention in the British press.
That's right. It's all over the British press today. We're going to start by looking at the front page of The Guardian, which says, let's talk, says Merkel, as Cameron gambles on the EU. And you see a photo there of Cameron that we've been seeing all over the press. It's also on the front page of The Independent that says handbagged. So that's a wink at former Conservative leader Margaret Thatcher, who was famous for handbagging, also a Eurosceptic. And now in their editorial, The Independent says that Cameron's proposal is a desperate gamble with Britain's interests. Basically, he's letting his own political pressure cloud his judgment, and he's putting Britain's place in Europe in doubt for the very first time. And according to The Independent, this is a very dangerous thing. The genie is now out of the bottle, says The Independent. Britain is the loser, and The Independent hopes that Europhiles will now step into action and rise to the challenge.
Okay, defend what they think. But moving on to another story now. Hillary Clinton attended, as we covered this in the news bulletin, that Senate hearing in Washington, D.C., and really passionately defended her handling of that attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi last year when 4 Americans died.
That's right. There's some incredible photos in the press today of Hillary Clinton at that Senate hearing meeting. She's here on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, and you can just see the passion in her. It says Clinton comes out fighting on Libya. Now, The Independent also has a series of incredible photos that were taken yesterday, all these range of emotions that she displayed. And in fact, the Independent comment piece says that she basically yesterday displayed that she would be a very good candidate for the presidency in 2016. This is a comment piece by David Usborne. Now, he says that there's been a lot of speculation about whether or not she'll actually enter the race, but he says she's got a challenge on top of her displaying all these presidential qualities yesterday. Polls are in her favor. According to polls, she's the member of the Obama's cabinet that people appreciate the most. She's actually, her approval rating is higher than Michelle Obama's.
Wow.
Now, she hasn't said whether or not she's going to run, but this article says that she has plenty of time to change her mind.
I'm sure she'll keep us guessing for a little while yet. But we're going to stay in the US now because the Pentagon has decided to remove a ban on women joining combat troops, and the Washington Post has more on that.
That's right. Now, this is outgoing Defense Secretary Leon Panetta. He said that he's going to announce this today, actually. Now, this would be a watershed policy change that would remove the remaining barrier of a fully inclusive military. And this, of course, dovetails another huge policy change, which was the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Women veterans say they were stunned by this decision, but they're applauding it. And the decision was reportedly informed by women's valor in Iraq and Afghanistan. And it's interesting to note that the Washington piece has pulled out an article that it published in May 2011 by Major Jane Blair, a Marine Corps reservist, and she talks about 5 myths about women in combat. For instance, women are too emotionally fragile, they're physically weaker, the presence of women would cause sexual tension, male troops would be distracted, but feeling a need to protect them, and also women can't lead men in combat effectively. So these 5 myths, she takes a look at each of them and she shoots them down. So I can imagine that she's probably very happy with Panetta's decision today.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much indeed, Florence, for that look at today's international papers. Let's get a reminder now of our top story.